Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for coming. I'll just start with some introductions, just so that you know who everyone is. I believe you all have my name already. To my far right is Detective Sergeant Arthur Glasford, who is also working on the inquiry we're about to speak of. And to my immediate right is Mrs. Michelley Walker, who is the mother of Mr. Kimwandae Walker, who was tragically murdered on the 2nd of April this year at the Victor Scott school field. And that actually takes us to why we're here today. All of us will remember the particularly brutal murder that occurred on Victor Scott school field on Good Friday, which is traditionally a public and religious holiday in Bermuda where people come together to celebrate family, friends, and obviously the religious aspects of that event. Two men on a motorcycle rode onto Victor Scott Field and targeted Mr. Walker of Pembroke Parish, shooting him a total of 7 times while he was at this Good Friday fun day. Good Friday was a clear, sunny day, and there was nothing obvious in place to obstruct the views of the approximately 30 to 60 people that were present on the field that day. He was present with his 9-year-old son and 4-year-old daughter, who had the horrific experience of watching their father murdered in front of their eyes. The other members of his immediate and extended family have also had to come to terms with his brutal death that occurred in front of so many people on what was a religiously symbolic day, an event where families had come together to celebrate this long-standing tradition. But today is not about me, albeit we will field some questions later on the investigation. Mrs. Walker is actually here because we want her to try and help us to get people to come forward and to speak about her son and to perhaps put a bit of a human face on Mr. Walker. So with that, I'd like to hand over to Mrs. Walker, who bravely is going to speak to you today, but she will not be taking any questions. Okay, so thank you, Mrs. Walker.
Okay.
Yes, please.
On Good Friday, 2010, my whole world went dark. While I was at home preparing fish cakes for my son to collect, he was at Victor Scott School Field, a public place, a place where families have for generations gathered to celebrate this most holy day. One moment he was frolicking with his children, teaching them to fly kites and generally enjoying his time with them. The next moment, he was running for his life as he was being chased by persons with a gun determined to end his life. And this they did, while his children watched in horror. I had searched my mind and my heart, and I cannot think of anything that anyone could do to deserve this. I carried him, I nurtured him, I loved with him, I cried with him, I gave him life, and in one hateful moment, they took it all away. Words cannot describe the devastation, pain that a mother feels when her child leaves this world before her. It is nothing that you can do to prepare for such a thing. It goes against the natural order of things. You are left with a void so large and so deep that nothing can fill it. His children will never see their father again. They will forever have the memory of seeing him shut down like an animal in their hearts and their minds. To see the pain on their faces breaks what's left of my heart. I can't see what killing my son has accomplished besides bringing pain to everyone who knew and loved him. I can honestly tell you that it is only by the grace of God that I am standing here today. My question is, where does this end? How long before we say enough is enough? This has got to stop. As a community, we have to come together. We have to talk. We have to be our brother's keeper. In Bermuda, this is so-called not snitching, has taken over a life of its own. It has infiltrated our lives and has become the norm. There is someone somewhere who knows who killed my son. Please speak up. You don't have to identify yourself in these times that we are living in. We don't expect you to. Speak up, all the mothers who have lost their sons to gun violence. Speak up for all the children who are left without fathers. Speak up for all the sisters and brothers and aunties and uncles who have lost someone dear to them. Speak up for all the families who are still reeling from the devastation. If this can happen to me, then surely you must know that it could happen just as easily to you. Let's take a step today to end the gun violence right here and right now. Speak up, just because it is the right thing to do. As I leave you, as we go about our lives from day to day, I pray that God protects us and guides us, and we try to heal as a community and as the people. May God bless you all.
Just to give you an update on the investigation. We can give you an update as follows. Since the incident occurs, 3 men have been arrested and bailed in relation to this matter, whilst forensic and other evidence has been collected. Good progress has actually been made in some areas, and we're very keen to progress the case further. You can appreciate that this has been a painstaking and meticulous investigation for obvious reasons, whilst we address the significant forensic and other technical areas of the investigation that take specialized analysis. What we can say is that we believe that the offenders were riding a light-colored 125 scooter. We believe one of the shooters had a scarf covering his face. Mr. Walker was shot a total of 7 times, all about his body and his head. And we also believe the shooters may have had some distinguishing features about his face. We are appealing for anyone that was on the field that day that has not come forward to do so. We understand the concerns of people in coming forward, but to date we've recorded 9 statements from the approximate 40 to 60 people that we believe to have been on the field that day. Those brave people who have come forward and given statements have given very good accounts of what happened, and we are pleased with the level of detail that they've been able to provide. But we still need people to come forward and tell us what happened. We know more people saw that, and we also believe that some people may actually have photo and or video footage of maybe not the incident, but of the field that day. We'd also be very interested in viewing any photography or imagery of any kind that was taken on that day, so that we can look at that for ourselves, no matter how insignificant it may seem to the people that may have taken. At that point, myself and Mr. Glasford will take some questions on the investigation.
Sorry, ladies first. Sorry.
You spoke of some distinguishing features on the face of the shooter. Can you elaborate on that?
Well, we believe that one of them may have had some marks about their face, and we're interested in anyone that may have seen someone fitting with that description and recognize the person to come forward.
In terms of tattoos or scarring?
Scarring.
Sorry.
Why do police believe Mr. Walker was targeted?
I don't want to comment about that at this stage. There's certainly a hypothesis that we're working, but I don't wish to divulge at this stage.
What does it say about our community that around almost 50 people were there that day, and yet only less than 10 have come forward? And yet recently we had a shooting incident in 42nd in which someone had a gun and they accused police of not responding, police leaving the scene. They were very quick to come to the media and speak out. What's the issue here?
I don't want to get into things really outside the investigation if I can. I think it's fair to say, though, that the community are frustrated. and to some degree feel intimidated by the actions of the people in the community that are committing these senseless acts. Whether or not those fears are always founded, that's questionable, but certainly that they are fearful and scared to come forward. But I think it's fair to say that we've been able to demonstrate that we can and will convict people before the courts and charge them with these offences. And I think the public should take note that we will look after people that will come forward and give evidence.
Detective Pedro, it's an unusual step to have the family of the victim come and speak publicly like this. Is this the first time, and also why? What prompted this time?
That's a good question. It's not something we've traditionally done, but I think it's important, you know, as police officers, we sit up here and it's very difficult for us to convey the human impact of crimes when we sit up here and recount in somewhat parrot fashion what's happened. And I think it's important to put a human face to the victims so that people in the community get to see the impact that this has on people. You know, this poor lady has lost her son, and the victim's children had to watch him be brutally gunned down. And not everyone may be aware of that. And I think it's important that people understand the impact of what they do.